Good morning, everyone. We're running a little bit late today. We are in the Adirondacks in New York, and as you might imagine, we ran into connectivity issues and driving issues and a variety of things. But we're here. I've got my coffee, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about my own personal experience, since we're talking about healthcare this month. Hey, Dad, welcome. Since we're talking about healthcare this month, I thought I would talk a little bit about some of my experiences. Today is the day that should be my third child, my daughter Sarah. It should be her 8th birthday today. But she's not with us. She passed away at birth. And it was a profound experience, to say the least. So I thought I would share a little bit of it personally with everyone, but also talk a little bit about what that experience was like as a patient and as the mother of a patient. It's to say it's surreal, I think, would probably be an understatement. So the story, for anyone who doesn't know it, I was 22 weeks pregnant, and I went into labor while I was very sick, which then led me to go into labor. And Sarah passed away just before she was born, and they were not able to save her. So she was born at 22 weeks, 5 days. And what was unusual about the situation, beyond the fact that I was delivering so early, is that I was still pregnant with another child. And so literally in this moment, I'm negotiating with doctors to try and remain pregnant, because as we hear a lot in the news, 23 weeks is the legal cutoff to intervene. And so I needed to get the second child over the finish line. And because I was so sick, there were no interventions the doctors could do. And they had basically no hope that I could do it. But it's a little different when you work in some of the arenas that I do. Psychology of the mind can have a huge impact on you, and how you approach situations matter significantly and substantially, measurably. And so when it became a goal to get across that 23-week mark, we put together a protocol and a plan. And in a couple of days, we'll talk about that experience. But today I'm going to focus a little bit on Sarah and what happens when you have a baby that passes at birth. Many years ago, they would take the children immediately, and you would never see the child alive, or even if it had passed, you would not get an opportunity to see it. The theory was that if you didn't have that visual, if you weren't involved with a child, that you would be able to better forget them and you'd be able to move forward. And what we found was that is entirely not the case. Instead, what happens is it tends to haunt people and affect them for the rest of their lives. And so what they started doing were much more inclusive, more humane, supportive opportunities in creating a moment for the mom to meet with her baby. And I'm so very grateful that they do, because one of the things that I often remark on is how excited I was to meet her. I mean, here you are in this horribly dark moment, and they hand you this baby that is limp, that they're not going to help, that you can't save, and yet you've been waiting for months and months and months to meet this child. And I don't know if it's hormones or anticipation, a lack of understanding of what's going on. I mean, you can't fully digest the situation in the moment, of course, but all I felt was joy. And I just felt like it was an amazing opportunity to spend a few hours with her, and to just be able to share that moment that we won't get to wasn't going to be something I would get to repeat, but nonetheless was important. And so what happens is the nurses, they come and they take care of you. Sometimes they have photographers that will come in and take pictures so that you can remember the moment. We did not have a photographer, but we did get a number of pictures, and my favorite family picture is from that moment. I don't quite know how we did it. We managed to get some makeup on me and to dress Sarah, and we were able to make that experience happen, which was exciting and memorable and important long term for me, for my family, for my kids, for everyone. There are a lot of people who go through this. It's not something that's widely talked about because, I mean, who wants to talk about it? It's painful, it's difficult, it's hard, it's upsetting, and yet at the same time, it is a part of healthcare that we can't forget. There are parents who lose their children at birth, in adolescence, and older, and the mental health and grieving part that goes along with it is profound. And so, you know, if I look at this from not so much my personal experience, except to allow that to inform going forward, there were a number of things that I learned and watched and now share with people when they ask. One of them was, it is frequently the case that when mamas lose children, they are sad forever. It's like this black cloud that doesn't go away. And I talked to a lot of children who were siblings of children who were lost, and they all said the same thing. You know, we didn't talk about our brother, our sister, because it upset my mom. And I didn't want to be like that. I thought, she's part of our family, she may not be here, but we are going to talk about her, we're going to include her, we're going to honor her in a variety of different ways. And so from day one, the kids and I have always included Sarah in our discussions. When people ask me how many children I have, I always say 4. And you know, I used to joke for a while, especially when Mitch was in school in New York, I would say Mitch lives in New York and Monica was in school in Baltimore. I'd say she's in Baltimore and Sarah's in heaven and Madison's at home. And we just kind of ran like that as a bit of a distributed family. We made the best of it. The kids would definitely use it to their advantage occasionally and tell me that Sarah wanted ice cream and we should all go out as a family as ice cream. I figured if that was the toughest thing we went through was to you know, come together as a family and eat more ice cream, well then that was okay. So that was really the first thing, was to try and celebrate her and think positively. I think about the parents of the children who are lost in some of the school shootings and mass shootings, and I've read some of the recent stories of some of the asylum seekers and undocumented immigrants that are trying to come into this nation, and when they lose their children in tragic but also probably preventable situations. And you know, just it hits me. It's hard to see that. It's hard to know what those families go through. And what upsets me is we can do a better job in this country. There's no reason we can't provide health care to folks. There's no reason we can't arm our citizens with more information. There's no reason that we can't provide better prenatal care. And so, you know, yesterday we were at Planned Parenthood, and I know there's so much controversy over it, but the point of Planned Parenthood in its primary space is to help with family planning, is to help women have good prenatal care. And it's upsetting when that's being attacked. I know not everybody agrees with every pregnant woman's decisions, but there are so many preventable problems. And when we don't do what we can as a nation to help women to get through this, including myself, I mean, stress played a huge role in me being sick, and if I hadn't had the care that I had, I would not have been able to hold on to the second child. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned. I would say the last one that I'll lead off with today is, so I'm usually better, but today's that hard day, you know? When you lose a child, no matter at what point you lose them, you lose both the memories that you've had with them and the memories that you expected to have with them. And it changes who you are forever, no matter how you approach it. But something that was very important to me was that I wanted to understand. And it probably took me 2 years of lots of thinking and listening to others and really percolating on what she meant to me and what her life, short though it was, meant to the world. Or maybe it didn't. But I came to this conclusion, and I share it a lot with my family and friends. I always say, what is the impact of a soul? I don't think it matters how much time you spend on this earth. I think it matters how many people you inspire. And for me, she inspired me to be fearless because her presence in my life made me question everything. It made me look at everything differently. And yes, I've had people say, she's not with us, you should forget her, you should not talk about her. And sometimes I'm just surprised by people's audacity on that point. But to me, I would much rather be inspired by her. So every time I hear about a loss of a child, I do the same thing. I often post online one way or another, and I say, commit an act of inspiration. And what I mean by that is really, if they're not here to inspire people around them, then what can we do in their honor to do that on their behalf? And so for me, this trip is incredibly inspired and propelled by the memory of my daughter, because she taught me to be fearless. She taught me to inspire people. She taught me that the finish line is not the goal. It's the experience of life that matters. And so you'll see throughout all of our posts, #AmericanExperience. That's the belief that living every single day to the best that you can matters, no matter what the outcome. And you'll see me out doing these daring things, calling people I would have never called in the past, talking to people I would have been afraid to talk to, trying to be as authentic and who I am as much as I can possibly be. And all of that comes from her. So I think the lesson for me is that every life matters, every moment matters, and it was just an honor to know her, and it's an honor to be her mom, and on this one day a year. And for every mom, I know you'll get this. You're not always known by your own name, you're known as the mom of the child, and I usually don't get to be Sarah's mom, but today I do. So today we're going to celebrate. We're going to see Toy Story 4. We will have pasta and desserts, and we will celebrate her, and we'll celebrate our journey. And I hope that everyone watching will go and commit an act of inspiration. That's my challenge to everyone. So enjoy your coffee this morning, enjoy your day, and thank you for joining me.